Welcome everyone to today's session of MCD Live. And today we will be talking about decision making and cognitive load. And it is a very relevant topic to me because I spend so much time, I used to, not anymore, on a very small decision at times that it used to take me, on what I should be ordering for myself, for food, for dinner today. And I used to take, hours deciding that eventually I would end up not ordering anything at all, right? So I used to end up in decision fatigue. I used to, think so much about it and from so many perspectives. Like such a small decision that looks like such a small decision. But I used to think so much about it that I used to end up, abandoning the task of making that decision. So today we are going to talk about this phenomena, about what cognitive load is, what is decision fatigue, because we spend so much time, so much, so many minutes, so many hours of our day trying to solve, trying to remember, plan, decide, and respond as well to the things around us that we don't take, a break in between. And we don't realize what we are doing. Usually, when you end up in a decision fatigue like that, it's only after you have had your entire day spent making important decisions that by the end of the day, you're rarely in that state. You don't take a pause, you don't take a break. And it's very important that before we understand all of this, we try to calm our minds for those who've had a long day and now are around, the evening. And even for the ones who are starting their day right now, I want you all to start off today's day or end today's day with a small intention setting, mindfulness exercise, mindfulness activity. So, when we are learning about this or when we are going ahead with the rest of the tasks today, we are in the right state of mind. We are in the right state of sanity and consciousness and presence. So we make better decisions and mindful decisions. So please find a comfortable position in which you can settle your body and try to relax your body. And if you feel it's comfortable for you, as it is for me, try to close your eyes. Try to keep your eyes closed if you feel comfortable. If not, that's fine. You can just, lower your gaze and try to take a moment to notice your breath. And you don't have to change anything. You're not doing a breathing activity right now. Just keep your focus entirely on how you are breathing without changing or trying to change anything. Just notice that you're breathing. Just notice your breathing. And now try to bring your attention to what is happening inside you. What is your mind doing right now? Is there something you need to remember? Something you have to respond to after this session? A text message you have to read? A decision you have been avoiding because you think you're not um, present enough right now to make that decision and you're keeping it pending for tomorrow? Let those thoughts be, but just let those thoughts be. Those are thoughts. Let them be. And just look at those thoughts. You can just tell yourself that this is what my mind is carrying right now. This is what my mind is carrying right now. Now come back to your breath. Come back to your breath. And come back to your breath right now. And now inhale through your nose. Exhale from your mouth. And just keep your focus and attention on your breath and your breathing. Don't change it anymore. You don't have to solve anything. Um, you don't have to. You might be hearing a lot of things right now around you, but you don't have to solve anything in this moment or the next 20 minutes. You don't have to decide anything. You don't have to remember anything. Just stay here with the breathing that you have. And now try to widen your attention once again. Notice your body. Notice the sounds around you. I can barely hear from this left ear. I have an infection and a damaged eardrum, so I can't hear. But for you all, I would request you all to notice the sound around you. Notice what's going on. Use your auditory senses. Focus on what's going on around you. And if you have your eyes closed, open them. And now notice the room around you. Where are you sitting? What's in the room? The couch, the bed, the study table, the curtains, the books, the chair, or the people, whatever it is, just notice. Just notice them. What's going on? Just look around. And for these few moments, when you came back from those thoughts to decide, to remember, and all of that, you did give your mind the permission to not think, to not focus on those decision making and, conscious executive functioning tasks. You actually controlled your mind so you can focus around you and you can focus on your breathing. And you did that. You were able to do that. And now I want you to take another deep breath in through your nose and exhale from your mouth. And keep your eyes open now because we're going to talk about how we can reduce the load, the cognitive load, and how we can make better decisions without feeling like we have to do it right now. And just a second. All right. There we go. Hey, my friends. Here we go. All right. So we're going to talk about how we can become better with carrying instead of loading our brains by making them exhausted of the pressure they're carrying. If you think about the last time you felt mentally exhausted, it doesn't have to be physical drain or physical exhaustion. You might be sitting still, but your mind was working all day. You might be sitting still, but you were thinking so much that it might actually feel like there is a heaviness out here. There's a there's a load in your chest, in your heart, and you're not doing something physically difficult. But maybe you were making some decisions that felt heavier. So you might be thinking, should I say yes to that person? Should I reply? Should I say no? Should I do this today? Should I do this tomorrow? Do I need to follow up with so and so person? Or did I forget something? While you're outside, you went outside and you're constantly thinking, what did I forget at my home, right? Should I have engaged in that conversation? Or what what if they react badly if I talk about this? What should I prioritize in this situation? All these sorts of questions, right? And if someone looks at them from an outer perspective, these decisions usually look small, right? But the problem is when they all accumulate, when they all, gather up, build up, right? So what is cognitive load? This is where we try to understand what cognitive load is. Cognitive load is basically it is the amount of mental processing. Mental processing, it all takes a toll on you. So it is the essentially the amount of mental processing we are asking our minds to handle at a particular time, right? If you're constantly thinking about this, that, so and so at one particular time, right? It is all a part of cognitive load. Our working memory, of course, it is limited, and it allows us to hold and manipulate information for a small amount of time, temporarily, we can say. But it is not designed to keep an unlimited number of unfinished tasks. When you are, going here as well and there as well, you might notice that at one point your body is giving up. If you have 15 tabs on Chrome or Safari, and you may be actively using one of them, but the others are still there. They are not gone. They are still there. So when you try to look at those tabs in some way or the other, your brain is still, thinking about those untouched tabs. Or there may be a message, sometimes I go for days without answering a text message, but in the back of my mind, I still have it, right? Now, at some point, the issue is that there are too many things that are asking for your attention, and our minds can, you know, they can only work in a limit way. And this is how decision fatigue builds up, right? This is how you become burned out. And even as I started my conversation session with the idea that even ordering something for dinner, what should I order it? What will happen if I order it? Even that becomes a difficult decision. Although that's not such a difficult decision if you think about it. It's not a difficult decision to say, right? What should I be eating? Or whatever I feel like eating. So I should order it, right? But when you have so much going on, then it is definitely difficult. It is building decision fatigue in you, and that's why it becomes difficult for you. There are studies that actually show that sustained cognitive demand and repeated repeated decision making, when there's a demand as well and there's repeated decision making, what will that do to your executive functioning? It will affect your judgment. It will affect your emotional regulation, right? It will affect your um, overall executive functioning, right? The effects, they vary considerably up, depending on who you are as a person, what is your pain threshold, what is your limit as a person. But these things do affect your regulation. And when there is emotional dysregulation, when there is a dysregulated nervous system, the decision will become even more difficult, decision making process. So when we try to understand studies like these, that we can actually take out from the research without um you know by understanding that when there is cognitive demand, when the cognitive demand increases, it builds up, it accumulates, then what happens? Our ability to think clearly, number one, our ability to think clearly, our ability to regulate ourselves, our ability to make deliberate choices and decisions. What happens to all of these things? It becomes difficult. It becomes harder. It's a research, you can say, result, right? So at times, when we are feeling like that, this could be the reason. We're dealing with so many things at once. You don't have to run places to get to that point. Even one decision sometimes can be very, very hard. Now, if you don't have to go to thing, sometimes there is an event or an instance in your life in a particular day that it can be so hard that even taking small decisions can, definitely become difficult. So, it all, cognitive demand, it all affects your ability to think and your ability to make decisions. And that's when it results into decision fatigue, right? So how can we actually get out of this situation? The first step towards that is when we stop using our brain like a storage box, right? Our brain can only keep a limited amount of information, right? So we can get out of this situation by doing the first thing that is causing the problem, the increased accumulated cognitive load, by reducing that cognitive load, right? And it is to stop asking your brain to remember everything. Your brain is meant to think, it is supposed to think, but it does not have to. There's a reason we have calendars, we have reminder system, we have alarms, we have project management tools, for organizers. Resources like these, they exist for a reason, because our brain is not designed to work like, like that, right? Our brain is not designed to work like that, where we ask it to function like a calendar, like our assistant, reminder, manager, project management. No, our brain doesn't have to remember everything. If you need to remember something tomorrow, write it down, or use or set a reminder on your mobile phone, or you can actually, these tools are so helpful. Journaling is so helpful, and these resources like to-do lists, and then even setting an alarm for that. These things are so important, and these significantly reduce the decision fatigue that you face when you do not do these, right? So try to write down if you have something important for tomorrow. You can put it on your calendar, set a reminder, and keep the list. Somewhere you can create a routine about the things that happen regularly every single day. Now, there's a difference when you actually try to get into this. There's a psychological difference between, thinking that I must remember to call the doctor tomorrow. If I have an appointment, there's a difference between that and then knowing that call the doctor tomorrow at 10 a.m. If that is something you write down on your calendar, that's a different thing than running around in your house and thinking, oh God, I have to call the doctor tomorrow. But if you write it down on the calendar, 10 a.m., call the doctor, so and so day, 21st of August. Now it's in your calendar, and when you just have to remember to look at the calendar the next week. So be specific with your tasks, write them down. Of course, it might look simple, but when you're actually, trying to do this, it will reduce your cognitive load, significantly. For people who have executive function challenges, for neurodivergent people, reminders and tools like these are very helpful. Very, very helpful. So the first tool is use the available tools, right? And stop using your brain like a storage box, right? Then the second thing that you can do is give a one problem that is important your full attention, right? If your child is sick, focus entirely on that, rather than also thinking about who's going to take care of the meals at home, what's going on at home. I should also be worried about that. I should also be worried about this and that. If your child needs you, your child needs you. Right? Sometimes we do not have too many problems, but we try to, when we are in a situation like that, where we are in a state of crisis, we open a lot of problems. We don't have a lot of problems, but we open a lot of problems. Our brain creates sort of, our amygdala, as we talk about a lot, it opens way too many problems, threats that don't exist, but it makes us believe that those are threats, right? So reduce your cognitive load by focusing on one problem at a time. Yes, you may call it multitasking. A lot of us call it multitasking. Multitasking is not wrong. But a lot of times we're just switching between the tasks, and a lot of us who do have challenges when it comes to cognitive, functioning, we don't have any finished tasks by the end of the day, right? If you're writing an email, let's say, to someone, and you're also thinking about a conversation that you need to have with someone, what is going to happen in the middle of that? You might, leave that email in the middle. You might also not have that conversation, and everything is going to be jumbled up. Finish a task, then move to the next, right? We when a problem requires your undivided attention, give that its due attention rather than switching between the tabs, right? Finish the task. This is specifically for the people who have executive functioning challenges, right? So try to address a problem properly before you actually move on to the next, right? And yesterday we talked, I think so, a day before yesterday when we were having our session on how we can manage ourselves. This is also the part where you require managing yourself. Define the problem. When we talk about emotions, we say we define our emotions. Be precise with our definitions of how we are feeling. You can say my life is going nowhere, but that's not precise. You can say something like, I'm having difficulties with my partner. I have different expectations. He or she has different expectations, and we have not discussed them. There's too much background noise in our relationship, right? So now you have addressed the problem. You are not saying I'm a failure. You are saying, you can say something like that, I have been jumping from one job to the next and to the other, and none of them is helping me out in times of financial crisis. Now you have a problem. You have defined it. Instead of saying, oh my God, I'm such a failure. Oh my God, I am not going nowhere. My relationship is ruined. No, right? Now you have specific problems, and now you have something to work with. Now, when you are being specific, specificity is something that is the beginning of the problem solving process. When you are being, when we were discussing thoughts behind our reaction, we talked about catastrophizing. We are just saying things and making them conclusions. We are not talking about analysis of the particular event. We are reacting to the interpretation of an event rather than the evidence or the reality of that event, right? So first of all, try to define that problem and be precise with it, right? Then separate what you can work on from what you cannot work on. The locus of control. This is in my control. I'm going to work on this. When it comes to my relationship, my behavior, my communication of my problems to my partner, this is something I am responsible for, and I have control over this. This is my level of control. Out of this is where comes how my partner is going to perceive my communication, how they are going to react, how they are going to feel. That is out of my control. So stop thinking about how they're going to feel or think if you share what hurt you, or if you are going to share your perspective. That is not in your control. People can feel hurt in, situations and places where you least expect. I'm not saying to be selfish and unempathetic. I'm telling you that something even as minute as setting a boundary, a healthy boundary, may be perceived as offensive for some people. But someone who truly cares for you and loves you, they may not find a fault in that. So you need to stop doing that, involvement in things that are beyond your control. You cannot expect or predict a human behavior, right? So you need to divide what is in your control and what is not in your control, right? Then generate the options before judging them. This is the third thing that you have to do. What options do I have? Right? Because once you know you are dealing with, you don't have to decide what you're going to do. Give yourself a few minutes, a pause, a break to generate the possibilities. Give yourself time, okay? And this is the part where most people actually get stuck. They think of one option, immediately find a reason it won't work. Then they think of another, then they reject that as well. And they eventually conclude, oh, no, there is no solution to this problem, right? You are have to create a distinction between generation and evaluation. You can talk to a person, you can talk, you can send a message to a person first. You could also ask for clarification. And you do all of this. And in the end, you will say that you cannot pursue the matter at all. Regardless of what you do. You can do everything to approach a person, and it may seem impractical. Some things are impractical. But you have to stop your mind from assuming that the first option that is coming to your mind, it is the only option available. So that is the problem. There are some options that are truly impractical, but that doesn't mean you are doomed. Just generate some options, then evaluate them one by one, and then further think about another option rather than giving up. And choose the option, the last step, choose the option that is most aligned with your values. We talked a lot about values. What is something that aligns with the kind of a person I am? Which option is most consistent with the person that I want to be? If you are honest, you value dignity, you value independence, your actions reflect a sense of independence. Your decisions reflect honesty. Your decisions reflect dignity. We don't have to care about the outcome. We don't, as I said, we cannot predict uncertain things. This world is uncertain. The world is very uncertain. You cannot predict everything or the outcome specifically. But we can make decisions that we respect, or the decisions that eventually make, others respect us. The values, that we have, sometimes they may be uncomfortable for us to base our decisions on. A conversation that is difficult or a boundary, these are our values, right? It may actually make you feel, like you are the center, or everyone is, judging you for that. But at least in your heart, you know that you took the decision that is in line with your values. You are not here to please people, right? And then after you have taken the decision, stop with the overthinking about, I need to sort this out. What is something else that I have to do? What is something they are going to feel right now? What is going on? How is this decision impacting the other person? Stop there, right there. That's not in your control, as we said. Create a distinction between generation and evaluation, and what is in control and what is not in your control. Create a distinction between that. So once you do that, it will become easier for you to make decisions. I want to ask that in difficult situations when everything has gone wrong and we get emotional, or if tears come, is it a weakness because people make fun of it? No. Um, as I said, emotions don't define weakness or strength. If a child is sick and then the professional workload is also there and we get continuous calls and messages, then how can we focus on one aspect completely? This is exhausting. This is burnout. And situations like these, they end up with you feeling burned out. This is a situation where your cognitive load, physically you are being exhausted, then you have motherhood, then you have professional life. Then there is one thing that, again, as I said, what is aligning with your values? I know setting boundaries at your workplace is something that may have a consequence. But if you're not setting a boundary, it may also have a consequence. If your boss is calling you beyond your working hours, you need to share it. You need to let them know. There are some policies, there are some rules in every organization um, that are fair for the employees, and you should let them know that beyond this sport, I have a family that I have to take care of, and it's not possible for me to respond to every call after this hour because I'm working in this hour, and beyond this, I have another life as well. There is a boundary that we need to create when it comes to our workplace as well. And of course, if there's a consequence for that, there's a consequence for that. And if they are being unfair, there are laws. There are definitely laws for unfair, you know, rules and unfair treatment at your workplace. There are laws for that. No one should be violating a boundary. If you're taking care of your child at 7 and your working hours end at 5, they shouldn't be bothering you at 7. And that's how a good workplace should be. They shouldn't be doing that. So if something is taking a toll on your mental health and emotional well-being, and you're being burned out, eventually you're going to be burned out, and your professional performance is going to decline either way if all of these things are happening. So you have to set a boundary and let them know that this kind of this kind of conduct, it is affecting you. At the same time, try to create ease for yourself. Try to, if you can afford, try to, there is nothing there is nothing wrong with hiring someone to take care of your child, or daycares. All of these things are not wrong, although they have been presented as something wrong, or anything that is helpful for you, anything that reduces your load. Find those options and use them if you can afford, for sure. There is nothing bad about it. Those options have been villainized, of course, for women, so they don't use them, and they keep, these are just some norms that we have set that are just wrong. Use the available options, use the help that you can get, right? So there's nothing wrong with getting the help that you need. Um, Talk to people. That day we were talking about emotional support. Find people who you can talk to, find people who you can share your stress with. Even talking, even letting it all out of your heart is helpful. If you're not doing anything, even sharing it with someone you think is a safe person, even that is sometimes very, very helpful, right? So make sure you do that. So try to use these steps in your life, make them, you can, after this session, what you can do is, as you shared your situation, Abhilasha, what you can do is that once you are off this session, try to take a paper, try to take a note, and write down one crisis, that you are facing in your life right now. Write the things that you are, finding difficult to, manage. Like you said, home life, work life, social life. These are the things that are, that are troubling you. Then try to focus on the one thing that requires your utmost priority, utmost attention. Once that is solved, once that is done, then move towards the other thing. Try to, create a priority list for yourself. And do watch out for the sessions that we have, I'm sure, published on YouTube, I guess, um, in which we have talked about how we can, keep ourselves sane in times like these to avoid burnout. What you're sharing is a situation of burnout. You're eventually going to get burned out because there is too much work and too less regulation, too less break. You need to regulate yourself and find ways to regulate yourself. So I hope you've all gotten the point that I'm trying to make here. So this is all for today. Make sure you write down whatever I have shared. Of course, this will be up on YouTube, and try to practice and implement and inculcate these steps in your life, even in the most minor decisions, because they do contribute. Even small things, when they build up and they are accumulated, they in your unconscious, they are affecting your brain function, your decision making, your judgments. Right. So I guess that is it. So thank you everyone for joining, and for those who will be watching, I hope you all have a great day ahead. I will be seeing you soon, tomorrow, hopefully. So have a great day. Bye bye.